Anyone can design a logo, but not everyone can design the right logo. A successful design may meet the goals set in your design brief, but a truly iconic design is also going to be simple, relevant, enduring, distinctive, memorable, and adaptable. All these requirements may seem kind of overwhelming, but if you know the rules in any creative endeavor, then you'll have a better understanding of the end result, and you'll also know when it's okay to break the rules. Let's go ahead and explore some of these. Keeping it simple. The simplest solution is often the most effective. Why? Because a simple logo helps meet most of the other requirements of the iconic design. Simplicity helps a design to be more versatile. If you adopt a minimalist approach, it enables your logo to be used across a wide range of media. You could use it on business cards, on billboards, on screen media, websites, all sorts of different venues. Simplicity is also going to help your design to be easier to recognize. It's going to then stand a greater chance of achieving a timeless and enduring quality. You can think of all the logos of large corporations like FedEx, BBC, Samsung, Mitsubishi. All their logos are simple and they're easy to recognize because of it. Simplicity also helps people to remember your design. If you think about how people's minds work and how much easier it is to remember a single detail, then that should help you to understand why creating something simple is going to make it more effective. If we look at the examples shown here, you can see that all of these logos display a simple theme throughout. The USA Network is a monochromatic treatment with color, and it's just basically a text-based logo. The only real stylistic thing is that the S is created in white, so it reverses out and creates some white space right here, and that's what creates the interest. It's a very simple logo, yet very effective. The family's logo is a great example of keeping it simple. All it is just a font face that's been modified with some additional dots and adjusting the heights of the I and the L to create a unit or a family together. Apple has a really simple logo, and their logo has stood the test of time. It's been around for a long time, and aside from the color changing, the actual shape of the Apple logo has not changed at all. It's very simple, but very recognizable, and it's a great brand. The Shelter logo is again very simple. The only real difference here is that the letter form has been modified to create a house in the H. Again, very simple, but all these designs are extremely effective. In addition to making it simple, you also want to make it relevant. Any logo that you design needs to be appropriate for the business that it's going to identify. If you're going to design something for a surgeon, then you need to focus on not being lighthearted and whimsical. You need serious, trusting, different types of adjectives that are going to describe someone that you would let cut into you. If you're designing a tourism package for summertime in San Diego, then you don't need to include cross-country skiing pictures. You want to focus on sunshine, beach, all the things that San Diego has to offer. How about a preschool? You don't want to include monochromatic images and unhappy faces. It would be better to focus on bright, colorful prints of kids smiling and having fun. Your design not only needs to be relevant to the industry, but also to the client and to the audience to which they're targeting. If you keep in mind that a logo doesn't have to go as far as to literally show what the company does, it just needs to stand out from the competition and be relevant to that specific industry. If we look at the examples given here, the playground logo is a great example of making it relevant. The name of the company and the simple modified text is a play on words. It also helps to separate the two words even though the kerning is very tight on them, and it's just a really simple and obviously relevant logo. You can see that part of the playground is actually incorporated right into the logo. Collective Media does a great job in making it relevant as well. The name of the company, Collective, is easily recognized with these shape forms as they come together and start to kind of merge and blob into each other. Kick apps obviously does a great job. They just take a play on the word kicking, and the K is actually kicking the ball over the rest of the logo. It conveys movement and it's fun. And finally, clickable. The icon that clickable uses is obviously an icon that we would use to click something. So again, it's a very relevant logo. When you create something, you always want to make sure that you're focusing on making it long-lasting. A logo should last for the duration of the business that it represents. It may be redefined and modified after some time, but the underlying idea should always remain intact. If you think memorable and timeless as qualities that will describe the logo, you're going to be heading in the right direction. If we look at the example here and start with Chanel, the Chanel logo has basically remained unchanged for the duration of the company. The timeless quality, the beautiful and elegant letters, and just the simple modification of the position of the two interlocking C's has been a great logo for this company. Vespa has had a logo that has also remained basically unchanged. So the font that they chose to use conveys movement and a free spirit, and it definitely is iconic for that company. The Hallmark logo, again, has been basically unchanged. The combination of the font faces that are used along with the crown is iconic of Hallmark. And finally, the NBC Peacock is a good example for something that's long-lasting. The NBC Peacock has undergone quite a few changes over the years, but they've always kept with their core idea. The underlying idea has always remained intact, although the peacock does change seasonally, and over the time and the years it has been updated and modified, but it certainly still is easily recognizable, and I think they've done a great job transitioning their logo over time. A logo should be distinctive. A distinctive logo is one that can easily be separated from the competition. It should have a unique quality or style that accurately portrays the client's business perspective. So, how do you ensure that a logo is unique? Well, the best strategy is to focus initially on a design that is recognizable. It should be so recognizable, in fact, that the shape or the outline should basically give it away. If you work in only black and white, that can help you to create more distinctive marks, since the contrast will emphasize the shape or the idea. Color should really be treated as secondary to the shape and form of your design. If we look at the examples shown here, the Levi's logo is a good example of something that's distinctive. It basically is just a simple two-color logo, maybe even just one color logo. The text is shown inside the shape form, and of course the shape form does mimic the cut on the pockets of the jeans. Mercedes has a great distinctive logo. The simple and elegant form does mimic the shape of a steering wheel or tire, and it just is the triangle, the pointed triangle in the middle also conveys strength and stability. The Dove logo is distinctive in that it would easily work in one color. The dove itself is perceived as being pure and clean, for the most part, I guess. The text is elegant, and the combination of the two items together, it has created a distinctive brand for the company. And finally, the Monterey Aquarium has an extremely distinctive logo. I love the way that the circle that they use as their icon is the shape of the giant kelp beds that lie right off of the Monterey Aquarium. And I think that the logo itself is just very simple. It's just two color, but the shape is easily recognizable as the kelp. You want to make something that's memorable. A solid iconic logo is one that viewers will remember after just one quick glance. So think of someone, or maybe yourself, driving by and seeing a logo on a billboard as you speed past it. Or what about a logo that flashes by on a screen very quickly? More often than not, one quick glance is all the time you get to make the impression. So what is it about something that keeps it ingrained in your memory? You want the viewer's experience to be that the logo is remembered the instant they see it the next time. If we look at the examples here, the Nike logo is very simple. The swoosh is often shown without the text. They've done such a good job branding their company and their logo that you can easily just see the iconic swoosh, and it's definitely memorable as it portrays to this specific company. The PBS logo is memorable. It's just the silhouette, very simple silhouette of multiple faces, and it is a wonderful example of something that you can easily look at and recognize the faces inside. It doesn't take a lot of thought or a lot of, contemplation to recognize what the point is that they're trying to convey. MTV certainly has a memorable logo. Their logo is very simple when we look at it in black and white, although it can easily be dressed up. If you remember, MTV would constantly have the M and the TV, changing and wearing, if you will, different sorts of clothing and fur and feathers and all kinds of different stuff. But the core idea of their logo is very simple, and of course it is memorable. The nice strong 3D M and then the TV just kind of splatted on there in more of a free-form drawing is something that is iconic, and once you see it, you will definitely remember it. The Jaguar logo displays elegance and movement, and certainly is memorable. The simple and elegant lines of the Jaguar are something that will stick in your mind once you see it. Making something adaptable. Creating a versatile design that utilizes simplicity is key. Your design should easily work at a minimum size of about ½ inch without any loss of detail. The only way you can do this is to keep it simple. If you overwork something and add a lot of little intricate details, it does not reduce down well. A logo should always reduce down well. Creating a logo that's going to work on business cards, clothing tags, and as a favicon for a website, it takes thought and consideration. Using the design at such small sizes requires a simple, straightforward approach. Designing something that will work well in a small format goes hand in hand with simplicity. The only way that you're going to hit this is if you design something that is simple and that is going to be likely to last. If we look at the examples shown here, all of these 4 examples could easily be reduced down to a ½ inch format, and they would still retain the original intention, and you could easily recognize them. And that's because they're simple. The shell logo has been used for a long time. Reduced down, you will still recognize the scalloped edges of the shell. If we come to the Target logo, it doesn't really get much simpler than that. A circle inside a circle inside a circle. This would reduce down to a tiny size. The Roxy logo works well. Even though it's a little bit more involved than the other ones that we're looking at here, it does work well, and you can have it appear on zippers or label tags on clothing, and it still is quite recognizable. The reason that they're able to achieve this, even though they have a little bit more detail going on in their logo, is because they've used a nice one color setup for their logo. And finally, the World Wildlife Federation logo is very simple. The panda bear is just a series of several black shapes that easily make up the shape of the panda bear. This can be reduced down to quite small sizes and still keep the integrity of the original design. Finally, you want to focus on one thing. Iconic designs that stand apart from the crowd just have one feature to help them stand out. That's it. They just have one thing. Not 2, not 3, not 4, just one. You want to leave your client with just one thing to remember about your design. Your client's customers aren't going to spend a lot of time studying the logo. Usually they just give it one quick glance and they're gone. You want to think about that when you design something. You're going to be spending a lot of time and effort building it, but ultimately you want to make sure that it just focuses on one thing. If we look at these examples, the Citrix logo, the one thing that it focuses on is the treatment of the second eye, turning it upside down. It has a nice balance with the dots of the eyes, and this definitely creates interest in the whole logo. It also looks more like an exclamation point, but they haven't gone crazy with it. It's just one letter form that has been modified to give visual interest. The Eaton logo is an excellent combination of white or positive and negative space. The A and the O, of course, help to form the rest of the letters in the logo. It's very simple, but it definitely is visually appealing and easily readable. The Visa logo, the one thing that they have focused on is the little fold back on the V, and of course making it a different color helps it to stand out, but this definitely gives it a little bit of pizzazz and makes the logo effective. The LG logo, the one thing that they've focused on is making the initials for their company into a face, and this is an iconic representation of their company. It's easily recognizable. The flow of the shapes, the thickness of the lines are all very simple, and it all works together. So after reviewing some of these things, these are basically ingredients that you can use when you're creating a logo. You want to make sure that you make something that's going to be memorable. These elements should be memorable to you as well. Remember to keep it simple. The simplest solution is often the most effective. A simple logo is going to help meet most of the other requirements in the iconic design. You want to make it relevant. Any logo you design should be appropriate for the business it's going to identify. You want to incorporate some sort of tradition. Trends are going to come and go. With brand identity, the last thing you want is to invest a significant amount of time and your client's money in a design direction that's going to look dated almost overnight. You also want to make it distinctive. Begin by focusing on a design that is recognizable. So recognizable, in fact, that just the shape or the outline should give it away. You want to commit it to memory. One quick glance is all the time you get to make an impression. You want your viewers to experience to be that your logo is remembered the instant they see it the next time. And think small. Your design should ideally work at a minimum of about half an inch without any loss of detail, so it can be put to use for many different applications. If it looks good small, it should definitely look good big. And finally, you should just focus on one thing. Incorporate just one feature to help your design stand out. Just one thing.